Surface area of a cylinder. So we've done surface area of a couple different objects now. I think we did a rectangular prism. We've done a triangular prism, I believe. We may have done some of the other objects, but I know those two for sure that we've worked on this week. So surface area just means how much space, like say if I'm holding this cylinder, what can I actually touch on the outside? So there's the actual tube part of the cylinder, and there's also the top and the bottom. So I want to know how much surface that actually takes up. I'm not talking about how much can I fill the volume. That's volume. That would be volume, how much I can fill it. I'm just talking about how much space the outside, if I wanted to cover this with, like, say, a piece of paper, how much paper would I need to wrap it perfectly with no overlapping, which would be kind of a weird looking wrapping, but that's the idea what we're looking for. So in order to find the surface area of a volume, I do like our little diagram down here because it's exactly what I'm going to show you with this piece that I'm holding in my hand. We need to know how to find the area of a circle. So the area of a circle is pi r squared, and I'll write that down in a moment. And they do show you that down here. And then we need to do the circumference. And the reason we have to do the circumference is if I take this middle part out of the cylinder there, so you can still see it, it basically makes a cylinder. And then I have the two circle parts like this. But when I'm looking at the cylinder part, the tube part, so I need to know length and width on this one, because if I unpeel it, it's a rectangle. So if I put this back together, the length of my rectangle is actually the circumference of my circle top, or my circle base, whichever one you're looking at. And then the height, or the width for the rectangle, is the side or the height of the cylinder itself. So we're going to need to do circumference also. So I always wanted to take that one out there so you can kind of see the physical way that they're pulling that apart. So let's go ahead and write a couple of things down here, because we're going to need area of a circle, which is pi r squared, and then the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. And then what we're going to need to do, so we're going to have two of these, so we're going to multiply by 2 because we have a top and the bottom. And then we also have to take the circumference to find this is the area of the circle. I'll put a circle there. And the area of the square part, we have to take this 2 pi r, or the c, and multiply by height, because we need length times width for a rectangle. So this is kind of my length, this is my width. All right? So these are a couple of things we're going to do on this one. So let's go ahead and click start so we can actually see how to apply these. Okay, perfect. Those are not in my way. Yay. So they do give us the height of the cylinder is 6 and the radius is 3. So they actually have the cylinder, instead of it standing up like this, they just tipped it over on its side. But we still call this the height of the cylinder, even though it was tipped over. All right, so let's go ahead and start looking at the circles here. So we have area of the circle equals pi. They asked us to use 3.14 times r. They told us was 3, and we have to square that. And then we're going to multiply by 2 because I have two circles. I have a left and I have a right. Okay. So let's go ahead, and they do. I was going to say they should give us the calculator on this one. So we have 3.14 times 3. To do squared, I hit this little XY button, and I type in a 2. And then I hit the over button. If I don't hit over and I hit times 2, it's going to keep typing it up top in that exponent. I don't want it to do that. So I want to hit over, or actually use the cursor and click out of it, and then go times 2 equals. So I get 56.52. Okay. And then now I need to do the actual, I want to grab this again, the actual rectangle part here. Okay. So I'm going to go 2 times pi times r. They already told me what r was. And then h is the 6 that they gave me. So there's not a lot I have to do on this one. I just have to know how to plug it in as far as finding things. But there's not a whole lot that I have to actually go and figure out. I just have to plug in the correct pieces. So 2 times 3.14, because that's what they asked me to use for pi, times r times height, which is 6. So that's going to give me 2 times 3.14 times 3 times 6 equals 113.04. And I'm going to add these two together. So I'm going to go plus what I got for the circles here equals, and that is exactly what I'm going to type in. It actually tells me do not do any rounding. So no rounding. But I do have to make sure I select the correct unit. So they don't ever mix them up. If you see meters over here, it's because you started with meters over here. So this is length, area, volume. We're doing area, so I'm going to click on the area. Check. All right, let's do the next one. Okay. So area of a circle is pi times r squared. So now they told me they gave me a diameter. And we've done a lot of things with circles in the last couple weeks. So when they give you a diameter, you divide by 2, and that tells you what your radius is. So we have, don't know why I wrote 3. That was silly. Started to write pi again. 2 squared. And then remember, we have 2 circles. So this one's laying down again. We have a left and we have a right circle. So we're going to multiply by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator here. And I'm going to have 3.14 times 2 squared times 2 equals, and I get 25.12, and this is yards squared because, and the reason for squared is because each one of these 2's we put in for the radius has a yard on it. This 2 does not have a yard because this was just referring to the fact that we have 2 circles. But that's why we do yards, because we did yard times yard. So we write that as yard squared, just like we would with a variable. Okay, so let's do the area of that rectangular piece. So we have circumference, which I know I deleted that equation, so I am hoping that you wrote it down. So we get 2 times pi times r, which is 2. So this is circumference, 2 times pi times r, and then we need to multiply by the height of our cylinder. So let's go ahead and go in here, and we have 2 times pi times 2 times 5 equals, and we get 62.8 yards squared. We want to add these two together because that'll tell us what our total surface area is. So plus 5.12 equals 87.92. Remember, no rounding, but you do need to make sure you select yards squared. All right, let's do one more of these. So let's go ahead and do our circles first. So we have pi. I almost wrote the symbol for pi. They want us to use 3.14. Pi times r, and they did give us r this time. And we can see that also, center to side, squared times 2, because there's a top and a bottom. So we get 3.14 times 6 squared times 2. All right, so we get 226.08. And then, oh, that's centimeter squared. I forgot to write centimeter squared. And now we want to find the area of the rectangular piece when we peel it apart. So we go 2 times pi times r. Again, that's circumference. So that's the length. When I peel this, the circumference open here, remember that's the length. That's why we have to do that, because it makes a circle when I put it together. So in order to find the length of that circle to do a rectangle, I have to do 2 times pi times r. That's how I find that length. And then I need to multiply by the height because that's the other side of my rectangle. So that equals 2 times 3.14 times 6 times 9 equals 339.12 centimeters squared. And I want to add both of those together. So I get my total surface area. 8 equals, all right, I get 565.2. Remember, no rounding, but don't forget to click centimeter squared. Check. All right, we finished another one. Yay.